Welcome back, dear viewers. Now it's time for our daily press review, and we start off from Al-Wafd newspaper, and we read the following headline. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurates new projects in Asyut. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Tuesday to inaugurate a number of new projects. The new projects include the new Asyut power station, which will produce 1,000 megawatts, as well as inaugurating 6 other stations through video conference. Earlier on Monday, the President met with Arab Ministers of Youth and Sports at the Presidential Palace in Cairo. During the meeting, the President called the Arab officials to pay attention to the youth's problems and to protect them from the extremist ideas promoted by the terrorist groups. Sisi stressed that the problems of Arab youth should be a priority on the governmental agenda, praising the initiatives launched by the Arab ministers under the title No Violence, No Extremism, No Terrorism.
And moving our viewers to اليوم السابع, from where we leave, Prime Minister Sharif Ismail heads cabinet meeting. Prime Minister Sharif Ismail headed on Monday the cabinet weekly meeting to discuss a number of files. The meeting addressed a number of reports over the national projects currently implemented, as well as the commodities and services scheduled to be provided to citizens during the holy month of Ramadan. The Prime Minister also discussed a number of agreements that the government concluded recently with many countries across the world to improve the investment and encourage the foreign investors to enter the Egyptian market. The cabinet also tackled the draft law concerning the regulation of the press and media, as the amendments of some articles of the labor unions law. The draft laws will be referred to the House of Representatives for approval. The cabinet also approved the price of the cotton produced in 2016, as well as approving the raise of the pricing of the medicine under £30 by 20%. Health Minister Dr. Ahmad Eddin said that the disappearance of 4,000 cheap medicines in the Egyptian market is due to the inability of local companies on the production. He added that producers that do not provide the drugs could now face the termination of their practice licenses.
And moving to اليوم السابع newspaper, and we read the following headline. Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri calls for supporting political process in Libya. Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri said on Monday that the Libyan crisis is passing through a very critical stage, currently calling on Libyans for a unified position to cross this crisis in order to preserve the unity and stability of Libya. Shukri stressed on the need to support the political process and the National Accord Council headed by Faiz al-Sarraj. Earlier on Monday, world powers met in the Austrian capital to discuss the expanding presence of Daesh extremist group in the conflict-ridden Libya. More about the situation in Libya in the coming report.
Aiming at once to shore up the fragile government and prevent Daesh and rival militias from further gains, the U.S. and the 4 other permanent UN Security Council members and more than 15 other nations said they would approve exemptions to a United Nations arms embargo to allow military sales and aid to Libya's so-called government of national accord. In a joint communique, the nations said that while the broader embargo will remain in place, they are ready to respond to the Libyan government's requests for training and equipping government forces. The communique said that they will fully support these efforts while continuing to reinforce UN arms embargo. With support from all 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, the plan is unlikely to face significant opposition from any quarter. The communique was issued at the end of the talks that gathered U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and top officials from more than 20 other nations to discuss ways to strengthen Libya's fledgling government. The aim is to give the internationally recognized administration more muscle in fighting radicals and end its rivalry with a group to the east claiming legitimacy. The step will boost the government's efforts to consolidate power and regain control over Libyan state institutions like the central bank and national oil companies.
And moving to Al-Akhbar, from where we read, Al-Azhar Grand Imam starts a visit to Nigeria. Al-Azhar Grand Imam Dr. Ahmad Al-Taib arrived on Monday to the Nigerian capital Abuja in three-day official visit. The Grand Imam is scheduled to meet a number of Nigerian senior officials, including Nigerian President and the Prime Minister. During his visit, the Grand Imam is scheduled to deliver a speech for Muslims all over the world. Dr. Al-Taib will also discuss ways to promote the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence to combat extremism ideas used by terrorist groups to spread the violence. The Grand Imam will also discuss spreading the true meanings of Islam, as well as emphasizing the fact that Islam rejects violence and terrorism.
And moving to Egypt news, and we read the following headline: Egypt-Greece navies complete their joint training Alexandria 2016. Egypt and Greece navies concluded on Monday their joint maritime training Alexandria 2016, which lasted for several days in Egyptian territorial waters and on the shores of Alexandria. Units of the Egyptian and Greek Marine forces, as well as the brigade of the Marine Special Forces, took part in the training. The participants' units showed significant ability to take their positions accurately and to engage in combat urgently. They also showed their proficiency in combat training techniques, including handling enemy targets at sea, storming suspect vessels, and ship combat. Their joint training included the maritime reconnaissance of hostile targets, as a number of Egyptian and Greek warships carried out special trainings to avoid the marine mines, dealing with the attacks of fast boats, thwarting maritime piracy, as well as searching for hostile submarines. The training also included exercises for search and rescue operations and to storm suspicious vessels and control them. The training aims at bolstering military cooperation and exchanging expertise between the forces of both countries. Cairo has carried out similar joint drills in recent months with Arab and European allies amid growing concerns over threats of terrorism in the region.
Moving to اليوم السابع, from where we read, Agriculture Ministry 3 million tons of local wheat received. The Agriculture Ministry said on Monday that the government has purchased 3 million tons of domestic wheat since the harvest season's beginning in mid-April. The ministry said in a statement that the operation room in the Agriculture Ministry is following the delivery process to resolve any obstacles facing the farmers for the success of the receipt of domestic wheat season and deliver as much as of the local wheat. The ministry has said that the pace of procurement has accelerated since a decision to open additional storage space was made by the cabinet. Meanwhile, the supply ministry reiterated that there is a coordination with the Ministry of Agriculture to provide all the facilities to farmers in wheat supply operations. Supply Minister Dr. Khalid Hanafi said that the local amount received is increasing day by day, and receiving operations continue daily from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. and also on public holidays to all the suppliers. He added that bodies under the ministry provide all facilities to the suppliers through the permanent operations room in the headquarters of the ministry and across the governorates. The supply minister said that the government is keen on receiving the maximum quality of local wheat.
And moving to Al-Shuruq newspaper, and we read the following headline: Antiquities Minister inaugurates Egypt's Sunken Secrets exhibition. Minister of Antiquities Dr. Khalid Al-Anani arrived in London on Monday to inaugurate Egypt's Sunken Secrets exhibition, hosted by the British for 4 months after the end of the exhibition tour in France. The exhibition includes more than 250 artifacts selected from a number of different Egyptian museums. After Britain, the exhibition moves to Radberg Museum in Zurich, Switzerland, before returning to Egypt. Before heading to London, Al-Anani said that Egypt has reclaimed 44 archaeological artifacts from France dating back to different periods of ancient Egyptian civilizations. Al-Anani added that French authorities have delivered the artifacts to the Egyptian embassy in France after 6 years of negotiations on the repatriation of the antiquities. He expressed his appreciation toward the French government over their cooperation with the ministry in retrieving the smuggled items, noting that 250 artifacts were returned last year from Paris. The items, dating from various periods of ancient Egyptian history, were seized in 2010 at Charles de Gaulle airport in Paris, one of many interceptions of attempts to smuggle Egyptian artifacts.
And moving to the Paralymani, where we read, foreign purchases lead Egypt stock market higher. Egypt's stock market finished Monday in the green territory due to the purchasing operation by the foreign investors. The main index EGX 30 gained 0.49% to end the day at 7,409. And likewise, the small and mid-cap EGX 70 rose 0.06% to 368 points, and the global index EGX 100 inched up 0.03% to 775 points. The foreign investors were net buyers by about 77 pounds, while the Egyptian and Arab investors were net sellers by about 72 million pounds and 5 million pounds respectively. Experts said that the Egyptian exchange ended Monday's trading session on a positive note thanks to the institutions and foreign investors' purchases.
And then moving to Al-Yawm Al-Saba newspaper, and we read heat wave across Egypt ends on Tuesday. Egypt Meteorological Authority said that the soaring hot weather ends on Tuesday nationwide, following the heat wave that has lasted for the past 3 days. The authority's spokesman Wahid Saudi said that the weather is set to improve with a high of 34 degrees and a low of 23 degrees in Cairo, referring to it as the normal temperature at this time of the year. Low to medium cloud cover is expected for the Delta, Cairo and along the north coast, bringing with it some rain towards the northwest. Tuesday's weather will result in moderate conditions for navigation in the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, with an average wave height of 2 to 2.5 meters in the Mediterranean and 1.5 to 2 meters in the Red Sea. Egypt has been hit with a 3-day heat wave that started on Saturday, with temperatures hitting highs of 43 degrees in Cairo and 40 degrees on the north coast. The Meteorological Authority has repeatedly advised citizens to stay out of direct sunlight for long periods of time between noon and evening and advised them to drink much water.
Indeed, and with that item, our viewers, we come to the end of our press review for today. Now we'll go to a short break, and after that we'll be back to resume the segments of the breakfast show, so don't go.